Next up, we have color 2, which is possibility. And these people view the world through optimism and exploration, and they're open to what's possible, and they explore new ideas or practices. The transference for color 2 possibility, the transference or distraction that you will notice is probability, which is color 5, because 2 and 5 have that relationship. So with probability, someone becomes overly analytical, which limits their vision, and they become too rigid, and they start seeing probability instead of possibility, which can cause problems.
Yeah, it's just an archetype. And so this is an easy one to see that we need both. You need both probabilities and possibilities for the very reason I just said. I mean, as soon as the probabilities start to get boring because there's only the same three, I have to fill up the cup to see if there's new mutation out there in the world, right? Everything serves the individual definition inside the body graph. I need to pull in some more possibilities. I need to consider the possibilities and then leave there. I don't make decisions based on possibilities. I mean, unless I'm forced to somehow, I guess in a moment, but it's not going to be the best decision. And I move back into the probabilities, and that's how my voice will articulate generally. But I can see it. It's important to be able to see, well, there are other possibilities because other people will bring up stuff. And I'll be like, yeah, I guess those are possibilities. If I'm truly open-minded, I'll see that, hey, I have no proof yet, unless I do, but mostly we never have proof. How do we know most things? And so you have to accept that, okay, those are there. So good. But I'm going back to probabilities, and it's there to condition or be conditioned. Yeah.
That's interesting. It kind of just, I don't know, illuminated it a bit more for me, more than survival and want. I was like, okay, cool, they're opposites, that's great. But as you're saying, since yours is probability, you can be going through all those probabilities all the time. But if you were only looking at probability, you'd
I'd
get
be
so
limited.
stuck. You'd be limited. And then it's almost like you said, you need to refill on like, okay, these are all the probabilities within my frame of knowledge. But that's only within your frame of knowledge. So you need to see what's here in your blinders to be like probability, probability, or
What
possibility,
else has
possibility.
came in?
What else
Right.
has come in for that to come in? And then for you to view it through, okay, those are the possibilities. What is the probability?
Right. Back to probability. It's about taking, for me, it'll always be taking 1,000 possibilities if someone brings 1,000 or if 1,000 arrive, and still boiling it down to certain probabilities and for almost forgetting those possibilities in a sense. They just sort of move out of my view mostly. They might come back, but they move out of the view primarily, and I'm back to the probabilities. But because it's a rightness on my side, I have a right facing arrow there. They all went in. All the possibilities went in. I took them all in. And so I don't really know what they are, but the things I have easiest access to are the probabilities.
Interesting. Yeah, and possibility, it's so hopeful. It's so like, oh, well, it could be this, it could be anything. Like they have people have possibility as their view, just like there's such an optimism about them.
Totally, totally. So don't forget what second lines do. Second lines are there to filter out all the other noise or substantial amounts of it so that their uniqueness isn't really influenced or affected by other things easily. It is sooner or later, but that's only when it is called out or truly interrupted. And the people with the most obviously right to interrupt that are the tribes, because sometimes they have to interrupt the two no matter what. But that possibility, it does totally align with hope. It's a hopefulness. It's sort of a belief system at the same time. And when you see the binary between it, you'll see why I'm saying it that way. It's not only a belief system, it's a deep-seated recognition that all the possibilities are indeed possible. The probabilities, folks, don't see it that way. The other colors don't even really. That's the noise talk. Possibilities, the fear, the need and the want. People are like possibilities. Yeah, possibilities, schmossibilities, man. Don't weigh me down with that. I got enough going on with what I'm looking at already. So this stands alone. And the second line, the hermit, has everything to do with the possibilities, sitting there in your own little world, not allowing other people to tell you those aren't possibilities. That's the thing. And then the hopefulness that it shows up there. And there's this very spiritual aspect to it because they're technically alone in that. Second lines are sort of alone in most things.
Because hermit.
Alone, yeah, alone together. They can be with their spouse sitting right next to them, but in their little inner process, they don't fully see it that way. They just see themselves as, oh my God, I'm definitely all alone in here. There's this woman sitting next to me. I know I love her. I keep saying it. It's possible all that stuff, but they're in their own little process. Oh my God, that's my wife. I love the crap out of her. What am I saying? This is perfect, but the possibilities are still this. And, that's what they do. It's a really unique process. And it's when you see the binary go back and forth, you're gonna chuckle at it.
Here we have the left arrow is the theist, and these people actively seek out spiritual or meaningful possibilities, and they lean into their faith. Whereas the right arrow is the anti-theist, which embraces ambiguity, and they're open to diverse ideas without rigid beliefs, and they stay open to diverse perspectives.
Absolutely. Theist and anti-theist. I mean, that's just funny. And the anti-theist isn't there is no God. The anti-theist in the nine-centered being is I'm not so sure about this organized religion.
Mm.
And the theist on the left side absolutely is there is God. But both sides have their spiritual nature. It's about the homogenizing, organizing principle of the seven-centered way of conducting religion itself. We've seen what some of that does, and it can get a little dicey at times, right? Too much power in the hands of men. Come on, not self-men mostly. So that's what it is. And the anti-theist is a lot like the separatist. They're a little bit less than all of that. So if everyone's going to the same church, the anti-theist might be like, I'm not so sure. You guys can go be a pepper and a Dr. Pepper too, but I'm not a pepper. Would you like to be a pepper too? Remember the old slogan?
Yeah.
This is, but I'm not that necessarily. So, but then the anti-theist may still show up because there's a transference. There's a back and forth to all of this. So if you have a right arrow, you start out as a theist, like, oh my God, there might be God. There's this God. That's all. Is it a probability? Is it a possibility? A lot of juice there. Can't prove it either way. And then they move into this. I have spirituality. I have hope. I'm a second line. I love being me. If they're right with themselves, I'm not going to let any one way tell me exactly how it's going to be because I'm too fluidically in tune with the fact that there's a lot of possibilities out there. But the anti-theist, very often, like myself, I'm not necessarily anti-theist, but I know I've sort of moved in this direction a little bit, being a second line profile. So it'll always resonate with that, even though this is not my actual color. And it will move towards a rejection of someone trying to tell me how God is. I can love God all by myself. I love God. I think God's great, man. God's my friend. I say it like that. People say, you're not taking God seriously. That sounds sarcastic. Oh, good. I'm glad you say so, but I'm glad you're not in my head. I think God's great. I love God more than you do. Prove it, Totally. It's like, it's because they don't know. Nobody, who can know? We're unique. That's a thing. We're unique. And if you start with the left arrow, you start out like potentially in this anti-theist camp that moves towards the theist. And again, what a strategic thing to do to move towards a fixed thing. That is a huge glue in society that keeps society. We've seen what happened in our society as we have lost all forms of religion in America. When I say lost, it got weird. We've disorganized it. The government said, don't even look at it. Don't even say the words. And they tried to pretend like it's not how the country was founded. All that stuff didn't work out well, has not worked out well. Took it out of our schools entirely. We don't need to beat Jesus Christ into our students, but
don't throw out the baby Jesus with the bathwater.
Right, but exactly, but we can at least pledge of allegiance in one nation under God, indivisible, with a liberty and justice for all. What big deal? And
it's
if
a
you
nice
don't
thing.
want with sprinkles on top type thing. So this is the movement. We are moving towards this because they're in the second line, in the second color, in the second tone are all these deep senses of a spiritual nature that says somewhere there is something so much larger than myself out there. The second line reminds me very much of just gate 25. And it's recognition that, I might be pretty small, but I'm also pretty big. And I never quite know. There's a lot of possibilities out there. I just love watching the world go round. It reminds me of John Lennon's song where he was happy just watching the wheels go round and round. He really loved to watch them roll. That's a second line thing to do. And out of that comes a whole ton of possibilities. And the next thing you know, they might see a couple of probabilities and all of that. They might say something about it. They might even be called into one. But back to the possibilities, they shall go to be them right selves, moving their theist or anti-theist trajectory. Bam. I feel good about that. I am done.
Awesome. Cherry on top. Next slide.